This job market is ruthless, especially for a lot of junior developers right now, especially coming out of university. A lot of computer science grads right now can't find jobs. And many reasons why they can't is that I've heard that a lot of senior developers are applying to entry level and junior positions. Now, that may not be the case all across the board, but that obviously could be one reason why it's very difficult right now. Well, anyway, I'm going to show you these clips right now. And some of these clips will contain some helpful tips of how you, as a junior or entry level developer, can land a job. And it can even be quite handy for seniors and mid levels to listen to stay competitive in the market. Roll the clip.
Hey, so I applied to a lot of software engineering jobs, but I still can't get an interview. What should I do? Did you ask for referrals? Referrals are the most important thing in helping you get an interview. I don't know anyone to ask for referrals. I got you. Here's how you can ask for referrals. Okay, first you're gonna go into LinkedIn and search for the position you wanna go for, the company that you wanna go into, and also the school that you went to. So it's something like this. Find a few people on the search list that match the same position and company that you want to go for and apply to connect with them. Before you connect with them, make sure to add a note so it's more personal. Talk about some of these things in your note. After you connect with them, keep up with them and ask for a referral later on. Follow for more tech advice.
I've applied to dozens of roles at your company over the last 2 months. Explain to me why I haven't heard back from a single one of them. Yeah, we had no intention of filling any of those roles. They weren't real jobs. They were ghost jobs. Ghost jobs? No. My friend got an interview for one of the roles he applied to at your company last month. Yeah, we had no intention of hiring. That was just to train our engineers, to interview people. It was interview training. Why would you do this? In this market, when people are struggling this hard to get a job? What's in it for you, man? Okay, I hear you. Listen, this isn't a good look for the company, but it benefits us in a lot of ways, actually. When you complete an application on LinkedIn, you'll notice the little ping and you're following our company. That drives a lot of traffic to our social media, which is good for us. Posting a lot of jobs gives the market the sense that we're growing, which is good for us. And say when it is time for us to actually hire somebody, when say one of our own leaves, we have a fresh pool of resumes that we collected to pick from. How is any of this legal? You'd be surprised with how much we get away with. But you seem like a nice kid, so I'll give you some tips. Please, go to the company's website to find your jobs. If a job gets taken down, reposted, taken down again, reposted, then it's probably not a real job. Here's a nice trick. Go to the search bar on LinkedIn, type in "I'm hiring" followed by the position, such as software engineer, and select posts for the filter. Because if hiring managers are posting on LinkedIn that they have a team that's hiring, that's legit. And finally, follow this guy for more tech-related career stuff.
I struggled to land a software engineering job for 4 years until I learned everything I'm going to teach you in the next 60 seconds. First of all, you need to be applying to a minimum of 5 jobs every single day. A hack no one will ever teach you is going to LinkedIn and searching for jobs that you want, then go to the URL, find where it says 86,400 and change that to 3,600. And then you'll see all the jobs that came up in the last hour, and this gives you a massive advantage because you'll be one of the first to apply. Now, your resume is the most crucial part of landing a job. And what nobody ever taught you is this is a heat map of what a recruiter looks for. So it's crucial you follow a format identical to my resume because it's designed to train a recruiter's eyes to follow exactly where you want them to see. Now for coding projects, please do not build a generic project like a weather app. It is a non-negotiable that you need to build something with a real world application or that has a user base. If you're struggling for ideas, go to all recently backed YC startups and build just a small part of their software. Trust me, this will work. Now all of this only gets you interviews, but that's the hardest part of software engineering recruiting. So you're going to complete the entire NeetCode 150 and then do all the tag questions for your company at seanprashad.com. Good luck. And remember, it only takes one yes.
This may or may not help you get a software engineering job. I'm Michael, and I'm going to try to give you hacks and tips on how to get your first software engineering job. So instead of mass applying to 10,000 jobs, you are going to find 2 to 6 companies that you really like. And what you're going to do, before you even apply, you're going to do extensive research about them. Keep in mind, these companies have to be hiring people. What is their product? How do they make money? What are their competitors? Now this time, build a small prototype that matches exactly what the company does. And just add maybe a tiny feature. So if you're applying to a social media company app, create one exactly like it. But add maybe one tiny new feature. Write a 1-page brief description on what you made and why you made it. Make sure you write it down so you'll be able to explain yourself. Now you're going to cold email the CTO of the company or the head of engineering or the leader or whatever and say, this is my prototype. This is what I made. I could help your company. I deserve this job. Here are my qualifications. Good luck.
697 job applications, 116 rejections, 12 initial interview responses, 2 final round interviews, and finally 1 job offer. This is what it took to finally land a junior level software engineer position, not for me, but for my partner. For those who haven't been following, she just did a coding bootcamp and transitioned her career from from social work to software engineering. I'll be going a little bit more in depth about her journey in another video, so let me know what you all would want to hear about, and just be sure to follow and stay tuned.
I apply to hundreds of jobs that are fit my resume.
So you've applied to 1 trillion bajillion job applications online and none of them have reached back out to you? Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Mayo. I was previously a software engineer at Facebook, now Meta, for about 3 years. And before that, I was a software engineering intern at Slack. I've applied and interviewed at pretty much every big tech company. The reason why you're not getting any reachbacks from these companies is not because you're not qualified. It is because you don't have a referral and you don't stand out. Here's why. It's a lot like going to a party and trying to be the coolest guy in the room without knowing anybody. It's impossible. Like, think about it. Like, if I'm a recruiter and I see 2 applications, one of them is slightly better, but the slightly better one does not have a referral, and the one that isn't slightly better does. Like, who am I going to bet my money on? You know what I mean? Moral of the story is reach out to somebody who works at the company, whether you know them or not. Have a coffee chat, get a referral. If you don't know anybody, go on LinkedIn. It's the biggest social network for careers. Follow for more career and tech content.
It's not enough to just get a computer science degree to get into tech. So what do you do now if you don't have any internships on your resume and you've already graduated? Find exactly what you enjoy about programming, whether it's creating mobile apps, web apps, backend, artificial intelligence, whatever that is, and really double down on that area. So for example, if you're into iOS native development, crank out a bunch of projects in that space and really get very knowledgeable in everything around that area. The pool of opportunities that you can apply to might become a little smaller, but you will become more indispensable to those that actually need an iOS developer, for example. Secondly, you may need to lower your expectations. You may not start at a 6-figure salary at a major tech company right away. Demand has gone down significantly, so you may just have to start at a smaller to medium-sized company that needs 1 or 2 engineers, and that gives you the opportunity to learn as you go. Lastly, only if you know that this is the path for you and you would have enjoyed it either way, whether the market was good or bad, and you weren't going into it for just the employment opportunities, then I would say keep working on it and keep applying as many applications as you can send out, because it is a numbers game. It was a numbers game back when I applied. I applied to almost 80 internships and heard back from probably 20 and only got 1 yes. Has only gotten a lot harder since then, and your resilience and persistence is what will get you through this. Now, if your motivations for getting into computer science was to get a really high-paying job and make as much money as you could right off the bat with something, but you actually don't enjoy it, it may not be worth putting in that much effort and struggling so much for something that you actually don't like. So I would consider what other options I have. And that was kind of what happened to me when I was a designer and things got really difficult and I wasn't able to find work. I realized I don't actually enjoy this as much as I thought. So I had to find something that I enjoyed more, and that's how I ended up here. And maybe your journey is actually from tech to somewhere else. So you just have to really consider what you like and what you want to be doing for the next few years, if not decades.
Nobody wants to hire junior software engineers. Let's be clear about this. This is the unspoken truth in tech that nobody wants to admit. And the reason for that is junior engineers, they require a lot of guidance, mentoring, coaching, training for them to be productive. They cannot be autonomous, and the time taken to train them is extracted from other activities like pushing new features or maintaining all of the other systems. What companies actually want is to hire senior software engineers at the least amount of cost possible. That's what they really want, especially startups. Now let's talk about what you can do about it in part 2.
It wasn't too long ago where I began my development career. I've been in development for about 13 years now, and I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people advance in their careers. And I will tell you firsthand that right now, what we're witnessing in the job market is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this before where people are applying to thousands of jobs in tech, thousands of jobs, and getting either no responses back, getting ghosted during the job interview process, or receiving offers for lowballed amounts. And it's crazy to see what's happening right now. But here's what I think is generally happening. I'm just going to give you my brief thoughts on this. What I think is happening is two things. Number one, companies are being very cautious, to say the least, about who they hire as a junior developer, entry level developer, because they feel that they can apply their capital and their investments towards senior developers and mid level developers, as you heard some of the folks in this video mention. And they can get them to work for less because the job market is very weak right now. And there have been a lot of layoffs of mids and seniors. So when a new job is posted online, and let's say it says junior C sharp developer or junior JavaScript developer, and let's say that you're a junior of 1 to 2 years of experience in coding, more than likely that job is going to get about 100, 200, 300 applications within the first 3 hours, right? And out of that, you probably can expect 60% of the people who applied to be juniors, and then probably 25 to 30% will be seniors and mids. And then you'll have some kind of like people who are not even developers applying. So a lot of junk. But in general, the juniors should be the one who should be interviewed. Now, obviously, that's not the case. Companies will look at it and say, okay, I've got Brad here who has 1 year of junior development experience, and I have Katie here who has 10 years, who's willing to work for 70, 80,000 a year. Her prior salary may have been 120, 150, 170, but because she can't find a job right now, she's willing to work for 70,000 a year. Now, you may be asking yourself right now, are these companies afraid of people job hopping or quitting? These companies know right now that more than likely people won't leave these jobs because the market is very weak and is unpredictable. No, there's no telling what is going to happen next, especially when the job market will start to reflect what the stock market reflects. Like the stock market's going up, the job market is going down. But what I mean is, at some point, that stock market is going to start crashing, okay, or just taking a blow. It's going to start correcting itself. And at some time, when that time comes, then you're going to see the job market possibly directly be impacted by what the stock market is doing. And that's where you're going to see the real fear sink in. So in general, I think that that's one thing. Again, companies are afraid of what is yet to come in the job market. They're repositioning themselves right now and allocating funds toward more senior people who can still get the job done, who's willing to work for less, and who can be a lot more efficient so they can produce more income. The second thing I think is happening right now, and is somewhat related to what I just mentioned, is they're also repositioning their capital right now to invest in AI. Because let's call a spade a spade. AI technology, and this is also including the AI agents such as Replit, Lovable, Bolt, and so on. There's like a gazillion of them now. It's still not yet at the place where it needs to be to replace a senior or a principal developer. What sets apart a principal developer or senior from a junior or an entry level developer? And I think that the number one thing that sets them apart is the ability to envision architecture or a certain direction in a project on a very high level, the big picture. Okay. Junior developers are more like order takers. You do have some superstars out there, some rock stars, but majority of junior developers, me included when I was a junior developer, we were more like order takers. Some senior or a mid will come to us, or even a project manager will come to us and say, this is what needs to be implemented. Can you do this? And it would be like a very simple task, like, fix a unit test, or, recode a class to make it more efficient to use inversion of control or something. It could be anything, right? And junior developers will say, sure, let me take that ticket and I'll get it done in the next couple of hours, or I'll get it done in the next couple of days. A senior developer would look at that ticket, the same exact ticket, and say, okay, so you want to do this, right? Well, let me ask you this. Why? They would first ask why, if it hasn't been clearly defined. And then they would ask, have we considered A, B, C, and D before we do this? Because once I make this change in the code base, these things could be impacted. So as you can see, a senior developer or a staff or principal will have more insight into the changes that they're making. So obviously companies see that as more valuable. And that's something that AI cannot replace, because AI wouldn't have the ability to make all those decisions on their own autonomously yet. It will be coming soon, guys. So don't think you're irreplaceable. It can come any moment around the corner. So don't think you're irreplaceable. Now, the last thought I'll leave you guys with today is this. Many of these people in this video mentioned networking, getting out there and meeting people, getting your resume in front of people on their desk, applying to lots of jobs, 500, 1,000 jobs a month, and so on. And the job application thing, I'm not the biggest fan of sending out 1,000 job applications, because oftentimes it's going to go directly into the junk folder, or it's going to get filtered out by an ATS system that's going to put them into the a certain pile if it hasn't been customized. So that means you would have to customize your resume 500 to 1,000 times for particular jobs. That's just not very efficient, right? But one thing I noticed that no one really mentioned is, in these days and times, you may have to be very willing to be flexible on your salary requirements. Okay? This what I'm about to say specifically goes out to the mids and seniors. It could also apply to the juniors, but really what I'm about to say is for the mid, seniors, and manager level tech people out there. Once upon a time, we were living the life. We were earning 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, 300,000 a year. And we were living a good life, right? And we knew that even in some parts of the country, especially out on the West Coast, a junior developer can have a starting salary of 200,000 at a FANG, or they call them something different now, but let's just say at a large tech company, right? Or a large enterprise, they would get salaries of 175, 250,000 out the gate as a junior, depending on the domain. Those days are over, because for the juniors, a lot of them are being replaced by AI, or they're being replaced by senior developers. And the senior developers, they're pretty much lowballing themselves by taking the junior roles. So they're not being offered the same unless they live on the West Coast. And even over there, they're working on AI technology to replace developers who can carry out these mundane tasks. So it doesn't really make sense to ask for, high levels of income, or a high salary rather, because the times are changing. So I say that because I think we're at a time where we may have to be very flexible in what we expect. If we expect, let's say, for example, a salary of 150,000 a year, okay, plus benefits, we might have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm willing to work a contract for 125, 130 just to land a job, because guys, right now, again, you have seniors who are struggling financially, and they're looking for roles, and they are actually cutting their salaries hugely just to land a job as a developer. There are seniors, I know a few personally, who went from earning 175K and now they're working jobs earning 90,000. I mean, that's like half the salary. So that's a life changer. So I'm not saying that you should lowball yourself. Definitely ask for what you're worth. If you feel that you're worth 150, go for it. Just keep in mind that you will have companies who would look at that and leverage that metric in making a final decision as to whether they should proceed through the interview process with you or not. So, guys, hang in there. It is a tough job market. It may get a lot tougher. It's just a matter of staying marketable, networking, getting yourself out there. Send out some applications for sure, but I think the most effective approach is to connect with people, is to go to meetups, to job fairs, is to use your own referrals, people that you know in your network, personal friends that work at certain companies. Get out there and meet with the decision makers and make something happen. Guys, like this video if you love this content. Subscribe to Codeversity. YouTube thinks you'll like this video right here. You see that little video right there? Go ahead and give that a click, and I'll see you on the next one.